Okay, I hit record. So welcome everybody to our Thursday night training series. I apologize, last week we kind of flipped things around. It was supposed to be last week, but we can't do anything next week because some of us will be at Leaders Retreat in Dallas. So we'll do this week and then we'll skip next week and then we'll be back the following week, which will be the first week of November, which is really super crazy to me that we're already into November. But a couple of people messaged me this time and wanted to go over things that I do for follow-up and things that I kind of share with my team for follow-up. So that's where we're going with it today. And if at any point in time you guys need to say anything, I can't see the chat while my screen is being shared. So if you need to go on mute and you want to say anything at any point in time, please feel free to do that. That's never ever a big deal to me. I had a couple of people that messaged me, like I said, and wanted to do the follow-up piece. So when we get done with this one, if you have anything that you want to go over for the next one, feel free to message me and let me know what you want to do for the next ones. I love this quote that I read in one of the books that I'm reading right now. It said, "You'll be amazed at how much trying just a little more can give you an abundant amount of results." That hit me really hard because sometimes I think that I'm trying and I'm at my max, but I'm not really. You just got to kind of push through it, and follow-up is definitely one of those things that can get really frustrating. We've all had those people that have messaged us and then all of a sudden like we answer their question back and then they just fall off the grid. And it's hard because you're invested in it then and you want something for them. But, it does take a little bit more work on our part, but you always have to remember too, I try to keep it in my head that I can't make this work for somebody else. They have to want it too. So make sure that you're investing in the people that are showing you that they want to be invested in. This is another one. I'm reading a book right now that is called Your First Year of Network Marketing, which it's not my first year, but it's still something that has really, really amazing tips in it. So if you haven't gotten that book, I would definitely suggest reading that. It's really, really good. But this was something that I really struggled with at first. But rejection by family and friends is by far one of the biggest challenges in network marketing, but you can only change their attitudes by changing your own. And that hit me hard when I read that chapter because I am a person that does not like to, I don't like to be rejected in the sense that I feel like I'm not doing something for somebody, and I want to be able to help everybody. That's just my personality. Last week we went over those different types of personalities. I'm definitely a yellow. And so that was really hard for me at the beginning of this whole journey with network marketing. That we've said it 1,000 times, that quote by Sarah Robbins: if a waitress comes to a table and they offer you a drink and you say no, they don't go in the back and cry. They just move to the next person, because you're not rejecting that person, that waitress or waiter. You're just not thirsty at that time. And you might have been at the beginning, and then you might change your mind and you might want a different drink. There's 100 different things that can go into that equation, and network marketing and the products that we're offering are the same thing. Just because somebody rejects the products does not mean that they are rejecting you. And also going along with that, until somebody tells you no, like a definitive no, don't write them off. Sometimes people just say, I had somebody today that messaged me, she just had her baby, and now she really thinks that she's ready and she wanted some information. The first time that she asked me about it, she had just found out she was pregnant. That's how long I've been talking to her about it. And she never blatantly told me no. She just needed to be ready and needed to have, this was a miracle baby. She just wasn't ready to do anything else with it. So it can take a long time. It can take a long time of edifying, but it's definitely worth it in the end. So don't take that rejection as an automatic rejection for you, and don't think that it's not something that can't come around at the end. I think that we've pretty much all seen this. If you haven't, take a second to really look at it, because these sales statistics speak volumes about what we need. It's really nice. We've had those people that they message you and within an hour you have that note in your back office that says that they've ordered. 80% of people are not like that. So 8 out of 10 people that contact you, you are going to have to talk to them 5 to 12 times before you make that sale, before you get to share that product with them and they order it. That's a huge statistic. So not 2 people are going to order on the first to the 4th contact. And so that's something that tells us right there, like we have to keep following up with people. And a lot of people don't. 48% of people never follow up with a prospect. And it's hard. You know, you have your long list of people that might message you, or short list, whatever your list is. You have that list of people that message you. Start a notebook with everyone, you know, even aside from your people that you have on your Edify list or your warm list. Start a list of people that message you, so you're always reaching back out to them and edifying them on Facebook. That's something that's huge. You can't just stop just because somebody messages you and then you might message them back and they don't message you back right away. You need to take the ball into your court and don't wait for people to come to you all the time. That was a mistake that I started making at the beginning. When I started sharing, so many people were coming to me. I just thought that that's the way that it would keep going, but that's not the way that it keeps going. You know, you've got to do stuff to step outside of your comfort zone and make that follow-up happen with people. All right, let me change this over again. So I kind of broke it down. I think of follow-up as the 5 W's: the who, the what, the where, the when, the why. The biggest thing that I found with follow-up is that you have to know who you're sharing with and really know them. You know, on Facebook, we think that we know people because we see their pictures come up. You know, we see their smiling kids, we see their vacations, but we don't know what they're really struggling with. And I've said this quite a few times, but even some of my people that are in like my inner circle that I'm not super, super close with, but you know, our kids go to school together, whatnot, they had no idea the struggles that I went through when I was diagnosed with my autoimmune disorders, because it was not blasted all over Facebook. But when people are asking you about the products, don't go just surface level. Make sure that you ask them and you know that person that you're sharing with and know what they want the products for. That should always be one of your very first questions. At least that's what I found. This is what it's done for me. I don't do the Plexus vomit on them. I made that mistake. We've talked about that before. I don't give them 3 paragraphs about what Plexus has done for me. I might just say something really simple like, this has literally changed our lives. It's changed my daughter's life. It's changed my life. What are you hoping that it does for you? And leave that ball back in their court. Ask them that question and start figuring out who they are and why they really need it. I have there, what's their color? It goes back to last week's Zoom. Figure out what their color is. If they want it because they want to help people, if they want it because they're business motivated, if they are just somebody that loves to be the life of the party and they're going to be a good sharer, you know, think about those things. Think about their colors when you're talking to those people. Keep it short and sweet. Like I said, don't do the Plexus vomit on them. Keep your answers really short, really sweet. Answer their question and then always follow back up with a question to keep the conversation going. And so you can find out as much as you need to know about that person. Especially once you put your Facebook profile on public, you are going to have people start messaging you that, you know, if it's set on public and somebody likes my post shows up on their wall. So I've had people that have messaged me, but I don't know them. I know nothing about them. So that questioning is really, really important. And like I said, even for the people that we do think we know, because Facebook does not tell us everybody's stories. Something that I found that's really big is knowing their schedule. So I have a couple of people on my list, they're stay-at-home moms. I know that their nap times are in the afternoon, so I'm not gonna message them at 7:30 in the morning when they're trying to get some of their kids off and ready for school. I'm not gonna message them at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night because they're already tired and they're in bed. If I know what their schedule is and at 1 o'clock every day it's their sit-down time when they have a couple of minutes to themselves, I'm gonna message them around that time. I have completely flipped my schedule around. I always, and this works different for everybody because you know your office or your audience, but my schedule is always to put the kids to bed and then I would start cleaning up around the house. And then whatever was left over at the end of the night at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, that was my time. That's when I would read things and message people. 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, even if people are up, the majority of people do not want to talk about Plexus at that hour. They don't want to start going into their gut health and all their problems 5 seconds before they're laying their heads down on their pillow. So know what their schedule is. Now I've found that the best time for me to do follow-up, my kids are usually in bed by like 7:30, It doesn't matter what state my house is in, my dishes are never done, the dinner is still on the table, there's laundry spewing everywhere, and for those people that knew my personality before Plexus, that was something that would never have happened. But the best time for me to follow up is between like 7:30 and 9 o'clock at night, because people are sitting down, they're unwinding for the day. So adjust that to however it fits you best, but know their schedule. Something that I found useful too is stalking their page before you message them. I did a couple of days ago, I was going to message somebody, and I found out that they had had a really awful experience happen in their family. And so had I messaged them out of the blue, just, to do follow up with them, that never would have gone over well. So stalk their page before you send those messages, especially if it's not somebody that know really well, that's going to kind of pop up in your newsfeed all the time, just because you don't want to send them a message about Plexus if they've had something else that has happened in their day. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that it's always bad. If they've just had something really amazing happen, then in that message for that follow-up, don't make it just about Plexus. Know who they are, what's going on in their life, and plug that into your message too. And then again, always finish with a question. If you invest in them and their story, they're going to invest back in you and your story. And that's something that's really, really important. You've got to keep that line going both ways. The what. So if you've watched any of the training videos that a lot of the diamonds in the company do, and even like I just remember a lot last year at Super Saturday, loved our presenters. We had Jen and Kristen Abart, but in their area, they really, really push for the triplex. In our area, if you're local to like the Wellsboro, Mansfield area, it's not something that I've found that we can really push. People do not have the money, for the most part, to just drop on the triplex. Some people do, but I found that when you're doing the what and you're talking about products, don't start with something that's really, really big, especially if you're breaking it down with prices. If you tell people right away that triplex price for a retail for that package is $140, like if somebody would have told me that at the beginning, I honestly don't know that I would have looked into it anymore. But when you start small and build with their product needs, just about everybody, you can either go with the probiotic and the cleanse or the vitamins. Start small and build from there, and let them guide you into what you're telling them. You can always go back to the pink drink, because that does so much for us. And if they start asking about that with their blood sugar balances and hormones, and they ask you, then of course I always go into it. But even then, I don't come right out and tell them a price of it. I equate it to replacing my peach tea that I used to get when I would go to the Native Bagel, or replacing for Derek his soda. And then if you break it down into something that's smaller for them, then they're more apt to build on it. Once you start doing follow-ups, make sure that you keep going back to the original conversation, their why that we just talked about, what they want from the products. Don't stray away from that, and keep kind of bringing it back up in the conversations. I also read someplace that the excitement lasts about 48 hours, which, and it is for me too. If I get really excited about something, I'm excited about it for a couple of days, and then it kind of dies off a little bit if I don't do something about it. That does not mean that somebody messages you at 8 o'clock, you message them back at 10 o'clock, and then the next morning at 8 o'clock, and then 10 o'clock and noon. Like, don't keep messaging them. But if somebody messages you within that 48 hours, try to follow up with them about something, just to keep their piqued interest going with it, because you don't want to wait a lot longer than that, or they're going to think that you're not invested in it, and they might lose their investment in it too. A lot of times, like when I started looking into these products, it was because I was desperate with Rye with her allergies. A lot of people that come to me, and I'm sure that you guys have found this too, a lot of people that come, they come when they're sick. We don't seek out health products for the most part when we are healthy and feeling good. And so when they have that feeling that they need something, that's when you want to tap into it, because when that feeling passes, then the feeling of needing these products pass too. So don't let it go a really long time between that first initial contact and your follow-up with them. The why, I think, is something that I found that's really, really important when I'm following up with people. I've kind of sensed patterns and I'm a huge math dork, so patterns kind of fall into how my brain things, but I found patterns with certain people. If you look at your likes, and I don't do this very often, I look at some of my general posts that I put up, to see who's following me, but my Plexus posts that I put up, I've kind of been able to see, because I do go back and look at the likes on those posts to see who's liking things with Plexus. But in certain categories, like if I post about the business side, I've noticed people that are just liking posts about the business side. If I talk about Rye and her allergies, I've noticed some people just like those posts. If I talk about having more energy and not having the cravings, I've noticed some people posting about those. So when I go to follow up with them, or when I go to do that warm message with them, I try to include that interest in there. And it's not saying that when I message them, I just say, hey, I saw that you like this post. I'm guessing that you need extra energy. Like, that's not the type of follow-up that I do with people. It's more like, hey, I see that you like my post. I really, really thank you for the support that you've gotten. This is a journey that I didn't think that I would be on, but I'm loving all of the extra energy that this gives me. And leave it at that. And that's a warm message that you can send to somebody. It piques their interest with what I think that they might be feeling with their interest, but it also gets me out there with that warm message and gets the conversation going. What's your why? And I think that that's something that's really important, going back to that whole Plexus vomit part. I have a lot of whys with this now, and I was talking to Courtney about this morning. I didn't realize it when I started how many whys I would get out of this, but my biggest why, we've talked about this, is with Rye. And then I had my autoimmune disorders, and then I just had the general health feeling with all of the kids and not being sick all the time. And now I have a why with the business, with wanting my husband home. But that would be paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs if I told somebody about my why. So I might not tell every single person every single aspect of my why, but when I'm following up with them, I want to tell them something that makes it relatable to me, and why these products are so important and why I keep sharing them with people. But I also want my why that I'm sharing to be something that's interesting to them. If somebody that I'm sharing with does not have an autoimmune disorder, it's not that they're going to not care that I suffered from those things, but that's not going to pique their interest. They're going to look at it, and I've had people say, well, I wasn't ever that sick, so I probably don't need these products. Well, no, that's not the way that it works. Or if somebody didn't have allergies, like, they might not need me to go into all of that. So make sure that your why taps into their why when you're talking about things, and not saying that you need to change your why, but just make sure that it's something that's kind of aligning when you're talking about them. Sending them articles, Diamond documentaries. I found that if you, like Ame Darling, I love her videos because they really go in and they share, the science-y part of it. I love sending those kinds of things to people. Keep it short. Do not send an hour-long Zoom call when somebody's talking about the products. People are going to tune out after 2 minutes because we do not have the time. Most people, if they're not already invested in the products, they're not going to spend that much time watching something. So find a really quick 2, 3, 4, 5 minute video and send them, and just say, hey, I was thinking about you today when I was watching this video. I just want to see what you think about it, and let me know if you have any questions. And send that video to them to get their interest piqued again when you're doing your follow-up. If you find an article, again, keep it something that's short, and don't have it, if you know that somebody loves science articles, people send them to me quite often because they know that I love reading them. But I have a couple of people that hate reading them. They don't want all the dense stuff. So I'll find an article that's really light, just a couple of paragraphs, gets to the point, and send those to them. But make sure that it's something that relates to what they're doing, and tie in the personal piece. I was thinking about you because of X, Y, and Z, and so I just wanted to pass this along. Please tell me what you think. And keep it short and sweet so it piques their interest, but then you also get the follow-up piece afterwards. The where and the how, I think that it's so important. This is something that we've started doing with our team a lot lately, is moving it off of Facebook. Have real meetings with people. Chelsea and I got to meet with a couple of people this week, either at Native Bagel or, Courtney had her sip and share last night. It's so important to not do every single thing on Facebook. And I know that that's hard because we're not in the same demographics all the time. We're not in the same areas. But if you can move it off of Facebook, move it off of Facebook. Make it something that's really personal. If you can go for a walk with somebody or meet them with coffee, that just becomes so much more of a connective issue with both of you, that you can really talk about the products and they can see and hear and feel what you're feeling with them. Make sure that you're sharing too when you were grateful for these products. And what I mean by that is like spinning classes now. A lot of people have asked me about them because they know that I don't like to work out, but I tell them, like, I never would have done that. Chelsea was asking me all the time to work out. I didn't want to do it because it wasn't something that was motivating to me, but now I feel good enough. So I'm grateful for the products because I can go and do something. So that's really important for people to know how the products are helping you every single day, and put that in with your follow-up too. If you do have to keep it on Facebook, don't always send a message. I can't tell you how many people, Aaron was the first one that messaged me with a voice messaging part of Instant Messenger. I had no idea that that existed. And I love now when I send that voice message to people and they don't know what it is either, because they get that more connected piece of it. If you are shy about how your voice sounds, I'm one of those people. I hate listening to my recorded voice. If you're one of those people, practice it with somebody. You can also drag your finger off of the message to release it. That took me a long time to figure out. So you can mess up and still get that message sent out to people. But having them hear your voice is something that's so much better than just having a typed message, and sending it to them that way. So mix it up, give them phone calls, send them a text message. Instead of just doing a Facebook message, just move it off Facebook whenever you can for your follow-ups. And I think that people then realize how invested you are in them and in the products in your sharing part. Power hours are something that I've been doing for a little while now, and I've found them so effective. So when I sit down at night from like 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, I don't scroll through Facebook. I actually am really bad at scrolling through Facebook. I just don't have a lot of time to just sit and scroll. But during those power hours, I don't do any scrolling. I have my list written down. I reach out to the people that are on that list, and that's all I do for that hour. I don't have any other distractions as long as the kids are sleeping. I turn off my phone for the most part unless I'm sending text messages to people. And I don't look at any notifications that are coming through on Facebook. And I just spend it doing follow-up. And that's something that's really been beneficial for me and really helpful, because I don't get sidetracked. And then at 11 o'clock at night, I think, oh man, I didn't have this person, and this person on my list, and I didn't follow up with them. After I get done with that power hour, before I go to bed at night, I have my list of people for the next night to follow up with. And that helps too, because then at the beginning of that power hour, I don't have to spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to think of who I need to talk to the next day. If you guys have any questions, please. I know I'm going super fast, but I always run over, and I already have. Know when to follow up with Plexus and when to follow up with Life. I think that's so important. I've had a couple of people that have reached out to me about other products. They never ask me about anything that's going on with me. They simply want to know if I'm interested and when I'm going to order. And I'm not invested in it at all. And a lot of times, even when they do ask if it's something that I might be interested in, I don't order from them. And I know that that might sound awful, but I would much rather have it be somebody that's passionate about it and not just sharing it. And you can tell the difference with people. You can tell when you do a follow-up with somebody if they are doing it just because they have to, or if it's because they want to. So when you do it, be excited about it. That energy is contagious and people can feel it even through a message. So when you follow up with them, don't always make it about the products. I found that it's really effective. If somebody hasn't talked back in a couple of days, even if I ask them a question, I message them back with something that I found on their Facebook feed or something that, I'm thinking about them with. And unless they bring up Plexus, I do not mention it at all in the conversation, because you don't want people to feel like that's your only focus, because it shouldn't be your only focus. Your focus should be on them, and then the products come afterwards. And I think that it's really important to, if they order today, in their conversations, and don't say, hey, if you place your order by 10 o'clock tonight, you're going to have it by Wednesday or Thursday, because you don't want them to feel pressured. But at the end of the conversation, if it sounds like it's a follow-up that they might really follow up with and do that night. Just say, you know, I'm really excited for you to do this, because if you order, you are going to have it before the weekend and you can get started. So it's something that gets them excited about it and looking forward to it too. After they order, this is the last one. After they order, it's really important to do follow-up too, and we can go through this a little bit more in depth, but write it down in a planner. I have a planner that's just for Plexus. On the big part of the calendar, I write all of our events, but then when you flip to the next pages and it has the individual days, all I use that for is people's names. So on Monday, if somebody ordered, I write their name down on Monday that they order. I write their name down again on Wednesday and Thursday, so I know to track their order and see when they're getting it. And then when I know that they've gotten their product, I follow up with them that day. And then I write their name down again 3 more times every 2 days afterwards, so I can make sure that they're starting out the right way. At the end of that, I write it down every 3 or 4 days, depending on what I think that they need and how much help they need. But that helps me. That's how I make my lists, to make sure that I'm following up with people when they should be followed up with, and that they're not getting started off on the wrong way. Because that's the biggest piece after they order, is making sure that they get it started the right way. You don't want them always following the directions on the back of the bottle. You want to make sure that they're getting it and that they're on their journey the right way. So follow up afterwards is even more important, I think, than following up before. I tell everybody on my team, we have a team email that we send to everybody with 2 different attachments, one for customers with all the products, one for ambassadors with all of the steps. That email should be sent out within 24 hours of them either ordering or of them joining, to help keep them excited about it and help keep them going, and to help them know what they should do when their kit arrives or when their products arrive. So within 24 hours. I always send out a thank you note in the mail. My ambassadors, all the level 1s, get a blender bottle. All of my customers get a handwritten thank you note. And if they didn't order the Slim, I included a pack of the Slim in there just so they know that they're invested. If they ordered the Slim, I might put in like the body, the Ease cream or something like that, so they know that it's something that I'm appreciative of. They're supporting your business every single time they order. So make sure that they know that you're valued, not just a message on Facebook for it. Like I said, check in the day that they get their products, and then every 2 or 3 days for the first week. And always remind them, especially if they are preferred and they have that backup order on, remind them when their next order is going to be, and make sure that you're doing all of that stuff to get them going the right way. All right. I know that I talked super fast. I just wanted to get everything out before. I know it's a half an hour. I'm going to try to keep it to 20 minutes. But does anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat if you have any questions for me, and I can try to answer them. Jenna, are those emails in the fires? Curious to see. No, I don't have them in the Trailblazers page. I have them up on my page. There's something that we drafted and that we send them out to people, so I don't have them in the files on the big team page. A lot of the things that I did on them, if you're not a part of the Plexus Power Tools page, it's $10 and it lasts for a year. They have some really amazing documents on there. I print the documents from there. If we're doing, it's Plexus Power Tools, if you are on it. It really is amazing. They have a lot of the documents that I use when I'm doing ambassador trainings or sip and shares, and that's what I drafted all of the emails that I send out. I drafted those with, but I think that it's really nice to have something that everybody can use and send out and don't have to think about. They're just attachments, and then at the end of, or at the beginning of each email, I make a personal part of the email too, and just tell them, like if they order the ProBio, if they order the Triplex pack, say, I go through each one, like what they should specifically start with, even though it's in the email, the attachment part, just so they know what they should be doing when they start that product, and make sure that I put something personal inside of it too. See if I can stop the sharing. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okie dokie. If you have anything that you want to talk about for next time, so we won't have one on next Thursday, but we will the first Thursday back. No, we won't, sorry. It'll be the second Thursday. So it'll be the, I can look quick, November 10th. We'll do another training. So if you have anything that you want talked about before the 10th, we'll put together another PowerPoint after that. Alrighty, if nobody has anything, feel free to message me anytime too. It doesn't have to be something that is on here, but if you ever need anything, feel free to message me. All right, I will get this uploaded, so if you want to share it with anybody, you're more than welcome to. Hope you guys have a great night.